to my God and your God. And it just didn't, sometimes you read little things like in that and it just seems to click, and like you said, it comes to life. And my God and my Father, you know, he's my Father too, and my God, just like Jesus said, he was going to his Father and your Father. He's not, you know, just an impartial person out there. He's your Father.
Yes.
And
Amen.
he's your God. It's a personal thing, not something impersonal.
Amen.
Do we have any other testimonies? If not, then I'll turn the services over to Brother Ray.
Thanks, Steve. I really in a quandary as to what that I'm going to talk about this morning, whether I'm talk about anything or not. Sometimes I walk in here and get a little bit overwhelmed with memories of some that used to attend here that no longer attend here. Many of them we have preached their funerals, and many have just gone by the wayside. The word didn't find any root, didn't find any depth, and so therefore their commitment was not strong enough to bring them through the trials and the testing that they were put through. I've had some come to me this week, and the German Baptist Church is celebrating their 100th anniversary. And I said, we will be happy to let you use the church. And a couple of them kind of acted startled that we would open our church up for them to be able to celebrate their 100th birthday. Now, the church that we're sitting in right here was built somewhere around 1916, this part of the auditorium. This was added later, and the other part over here was added in the early 40s. And it was called the German Baptist Church. And they actually had services in German. And the Second World War, they took the name German out and started calling it the First Baptist Church. They told me that they have somewhere around 150 people that they have been able to contact that are going to meet in Bakersfield next Sunday to celebrate the 100th birthday of the German Baptist Church that no longer exists. And whenever I was talking with them and they were talking with me, they were reflecting back on how great it was, the memories that they had meeting in this building. Not the one they built on 7th Street in the early 50s that no longer exists. The building is there, but there's no longer a German Baptist Church, and there's no longer a First Baptist Church because they went their separate ways. And some are going to what's called mega churches, and they said it's not the same thing. We miss that family grouping together. And how much that we would like to be able to go back and celebrate like that we had church on 11th and F Street from 1915. The organization started, they said somewhere in 1910 or 1911, they're not really sure. And so they are going to celebrate next Sunday in Bakersfield at Jeff Schaefer's home or an auditorium over there. And I said, you're more than welcome to come over. We'll relinquish the church to you so you can celebrate.
Sure.
But you have to remember that you had church, the German Baptists had church in here for about 50 years. And we have been having church in it for about 50 years.
That's true.
And it's difficult for people to understand that we put names on our little groupings and our gathering together. And whenever we look at the people that really are not affected with anything except memory, we need to be affected not in memory but in commitment.
Yes.
Jesus said in Matthew the 17th chapter and the 17th verse, then Jesus answered and said, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me." There was a young man, a child that was possessed, and Jesus cast the devil out of him, and he said, "This is a faithless and perverse generation." Now, we look and see the age that we're living in, and the hour, and how many have actually left their commitment or forsaken their commitment under God. Not under the German Baptist Church, not to the First Baptist Church, but to the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ. And whenever we stop and look at the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ, upon this rock I will build my church.
Yes.
A couple of them told me that they expected this building to have been long gone. Well, when Sally and I came here, it was in a condition to be torn down and to be long gone. As a matter of fact, if some of you can remember, Charles Loon and I were putting a couple of new doors on the front of the church and making the doors wider and shorter. And they came up from the Wasco News at that time and took a picture of it, put it on the front page of the newspaper, and implied that it needed to be torn down because it was in such disarray. How many of you remember that? Oh, I went up and raised hell with them about it. I said, well, you didn't even bother. Don't look at me like that. You know what the word hell means?
Yes, confusion.
Confusion. You're confusing people. I said, you didn't know that we were in the process of rebuilding, of restoring. And then after we had all this brickwork and stuff done, how many of you remember, I don't know where it said in there somewhere, but they gave us a trophy, a certificate for having the most attractive building in town. So it all depends on the degree of neglect. You can neglect it until it falls down and becomes dust, or you can restore it. Jesus will send you faithless generation. This young man filled with the devil can be changed, can be converted. Now, whenever we look at the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ, it's a lot bigger than the few people that are gathered together here today. If this is all there were, then we could look at it and say there's not much to it. But we belong to a church that is universal.
Yes.
And when I use the term Catholic, people shudder, especially good old Baptist people, because we were taught when I was going to Tabernacle Baptist Church up the time of about 10, you know, we had to shun certain people.